Hello, hello, hello. This is Tom from Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. I got my compadre here. He's being naughty today. He's dragging stuff out of the clothes. I don't know where he's getting those clothes at and bringing them in here. So today we're going to talk about. I had something. I was I was in town and I was talking to someone, an American, and he was mentioning. He says, "Tom, I'm heading back to USA." I said, "Oh, okay." I'm thinking he's going to go back for vacation, come back here. That's what he normally does. He says, "No, I'm going back for good," because he said, even though I'm 70 years old, everything's okay, but I'm concerned a little bit about, I'm healthy, but I'm concerned about something happens. If I have a stroke, something happens. And as you know, healthcare is not what it needs to be. And really, that should be the number one thing people should look at. It's not necessarily how much can you live on. It's not necessarily how much where you're going to live. Something happens to you. I don't care if you're 40 years old. Something happens to you, you go to the doctor. And you may have insurance, it's fine. You may not have insurance, but numerous guys are flying back to USA. Now, here's something I do want to say this. I said this the other day. 3 Americans, not associated with these two, 3 other Americans in the last month, 6 weeks, have stated to me uh, they've been misdiagnosed. They've had issues. And so, as you know, Philly went back. But these 3 guys, because he has issues and he's, wants to make sure that he gets the care that he needs. But these 2 guys were misdiagnosed, and come to find one of them had a hernia. And they said they had cancer and he's going to die. All 3 men were diagnosed with cancer at 3 different hospitals scattered throughout the Philippines. One was Dumaguete, one was Manila, and Luzon up in Bohol. The hospital, the guy said, yeah, so the guy's telling me, Tom, he said, so I flew back, and come to find out I have, hernia, so I'm okay, and I'm not dying as I thought I was dying. And I said, really? I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. So we're kind of really taking a look at the situation. Even though we built a house here and we've been living here for a small, short time, he said, I think maybe I ought to think about things a little bit differently. And he said, it was really a hassle for me to get to the doctor and get in there. And he said, I can't imagine if there's a emergency. So there's no ambulances where I'm at. There's ambulances, but once you get to the hospital, but they can take you from point A to point B. But not every hospital has the care that you need. So, for example, you go to a hospital, have a baby, okay, it's fine. Go to a hospital because you're cut up and banged up and everything else. They may not accept you there. They may send you to another hospital that's 40 miles away. You have to really think about and check that out first. Don't come here just, hey, how much is it going to cost me to live? Okay. First things first should be, am I going to be taken care of if something happens to me? And you may say, okay, I'm fine. I live up in Luzon. I got a great hospital here. I got great care. I've already checked it out. Everything is fine. I checked it out when I moved here. The thing of it is, go back and check it out now, because things have changed. The doctor in town told me and Ruth that a lot of doctors have left and a lot of doctors are no longer here anymore. So they went to other countries because they made more money during the COVID situation. So you may relook at that. The ambulance situation is Davao has it. They say Duma has it. I don't know if it does or doesn't. They don't have it here, so if you can call 911. Now, it doesn't mean that you wake somebody up at 911, right? And somebody's going to be here. It means that you're waking somebody up in the middle of the night. He gets here when he gets here. It's not like there's somebody's on call and they sit there in their van and they're waiting, and crank it up and they're there, and they can be here in 10 minutes. It may take an hour for them to get here. So if you're under a situation where that happens, you really need to take a look. So first things first. A friend of mine that I've known, he lives in Ecuador. He's 70 also. He's going back to the States to live because of his current situation. Now, these 3 guys, the 2 guys I talked to yesterday, that's what they were saying, that the one says, okay, I'm going back because my health, because I'm getting older. The other one's 68, and he said, I've been thinking about the same thing. I'm a little concerned about it. And of course, I have to say, so am I. That's not the reason why I'm going back there. It's the health care. I'm going back there to develop a life there for Ruth and R, and we can go back and forth, back and forth. But understand something. You get of age, and you get a certain age, you might really need to think about, first things first, a hospital, where can I go? Do they have doctors? Do they have the equipment? And make sure they have the equipment. Not all hospitals have all the equipment. The thing that the guy said, what happened to him, he had some pains in his kidney area. He thought maybe he had kidney stones. So he went to the doctor. The doctor prescribed him some stuff to help him. And really did a small inspection of him and things like that and said, okay, fine. So he said he went home, took the medicine. He's still having pain, except they were getting worse and worse and worse. So he went back to the doctor about 3 days later. He said, Doc, this is not working. Of course, he had to sit outside and wait almost 2 hours because there was over 100 patients there. He said it was just a madhouse. That's what it is here. It's a madhouse going to the doctor because there's kids and aunts and uncles and people come down. It's just a shortage, you know. So he basically got in. Come to find out, the doctor says, you don't have kidney stones. You got something else going on. We're going to have to check it out. He said, I think I'll fly out of here. So she said it'd probably be best. We could send you to Malai. We could send you over to CDO. They have got a great. He says, why don't I just spend $1,400, $1,500, fly back to the States, go see my doctor there, and let them inspect me. I'll call and get an appointment. I'll call and get everything squared away before I go, and set it like 2 weeks, and I'll get there in time so I can do that. And so that's what he's doing. So so healthcare should be number one on your list. You're outside the country, United States of America. You're in Ecuador, or you're in Panama, or you're in Brazil, or you're in France. They have the health care that you need that's going to sustain you and to keep you alive if something happens? Do they have one of those machines that shock you to get your heart done? They don't have one in town. They don't have any of that stuff. An ambulance is just an empty ambulance with no gauze, no tape, no sutures, nothing to help you. There's no oxygen. There's nothing. Ambulance is here. When they pick you up, it's just means of transportation. So nothing's furnished here. They don't have ambulances that have, they have a bed, and that's basically it, and a bench for people to get their point A to point B. Even when you get to the hospital, they don't carry the products there on hand. You'll have to go get them. So, for an example, if you're, I'm looking at the time, if you're, say, having a heart attack, and they need to cut you open, and they need gauze, and they need things, and they need oxygen, and they need this, and they need that, whatever they need. So you're there, and the wife or the husband or whomever or the cousin or the brother, whoever, neighbor that you have, has to go buy that stuff and then bring it back to hospital so they can do it. Now, buying it means go across the street, going down the block or 2 blocks, and if it's in the middle of the night, it's not open. So you have to really do your due diligence. It's like some guy said to me, I live on an island. If something happens to me, I'm going to end up dying here. He said, I'm down in Palawan. He said, I will end up dying here because there is very little situation here. And he was talking about, in a different subject, about going to court on something. He said that there's no judges, there's nothing here. So if I have to fight that battle, it would take me 15 years to fight a case. He said not only that, he's concerned about his health also. So I'm saying, even the guy in Ecuador is saying that I'm concerned at 70, 69, 70 years old, that even there, the hospital care is like it is here in the Philippines. He's married to a Filipina in Ecuador. He lives in Ecuador. He chooses to live in Ecuador. For him, he said, it's a lot easier and a lot better. He doesn't have to go through the bureaucratic things that he has to do, meaning he can just get and go. He doesn't have to worry about getting married in 45 signatures and all that stuff. He said it was just a nightmare for them to get married here. And I said, so they took off and went to Ecuador. So I've never been to Ecuador. I'd have to look it up on the map. You know what I mean? So it'd be one of those things. Daddy Tom, where's Ecuador? I don't know. It's down over there somewhere. So reason I'm doing this video is it's something that it kind of hit at home. And I said to Ruth, I said, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I said, that kind of makes me nervous. And so that's the reason I'm doing the health channel. Eat a banana, have coffee in moderation, walking, exercise, staying fit, eat right, stay off of rice as much as you can. Don't eat the rice as much as you can. Oh, rice is good. Yeah, rice is good. But my doctor said, Tom, stay off of it. Eat a cup a day or so. You want to eat 2? I'd recommend not. 1 cup's fine. Because he said, once it gets into your body, he says, it turns into sugar. and you're in 1 cup, you're going to have 7 teaspoons of sugar. So you just better just not even have the rice, just eat the sugar. I said, whoa, boy. Really, Dr. Robert? He goes, Tom, I told you that when you left here, but you weren't. You're so excited going. You had rose-colored glasses on, and you took off. I said, half my staff didn't even know you left. My buddy. And he said, half my staff didn't know you left. I said, well, I told you, and I don't see all your nurses and all the people here, but I know that Marcus Shoemate's headed back, and I know Philly's there in the States, and I know those guys are there. I have another friend that is arriving in, and this one guy be arriving in the next couple of weeks or so, and other guy who's going to be there next year, and the guy in Ecuador said he's going to be there by December, and he's going to they're just going to go back and live there. It really makes you think. It really makes you think, and I don't know if this video would get 1 view or 10,000 views. It needs to get 1 million views because there's so many expats here need to hear this. They don't even think about health. They don't think about health until something happens. Do you know that I get so many messages on Facebook, and I get on comments, and I get emails of people saying to me, Tom, I have a problem with my health. What do I do? Do you have health insurance? No. Okay, why didn't you do what I told you last year? So these guys watch my videos, don't watch them. And then they say, well, my health. Well, you know what? I'm saying, you know what? I can only help the ones that listen and help the ones that watch the video. So more than likely, the guys would be messaging me next week, next month. Hey, what do I do about health insurance? What do I do if I get sick and go to the hospital? So it's amazing. Ruth said last night, it was like, one guy said, the guy has been here for about 2 years. He says, what hospital do I live here, and if I'm sick, how do they do the hospital? I said, the best thing to do is ask your wife and have her instruct you. Make sure you sign up for Philly Health no matter what. Have that. And then go get the Maxi cards and have that. And look at Pacific Prime, and I told them all the companies, look at it, and pay whatever the fee is. But after a certain amount of years, at 70, it's almost impossible. Impossible. They say you can get it, and you can, but your rate is going to be so incredibly high at 70 years old to get insurance here. The best thing to do is use the Maxi cards. It's a card. You pay $200, $300, $400, $500 a year. It gives you emergency care. It gives you ambulance. It gives you pickup. It pays up to $1 million peso in surgery and things like that. It is a fairly decent cards. Many different brands, many different types of these cards. You just pay the card. You have insurance. Yeah, here's my Maxi card. Oh, okay. What plan is it? And they automatically know because everybody uses them. This is the Maxi best you can get. And they say, okay, rush them in. Because they're not going to accept you in the hospitals here unless you have a credit card. A credit card to pay. And they're going to check it before they admit you. Make sure you have $5,000 on it at least. Minimum $5,000. If you have $1,000 on there, they may or may not admit you depending on how they look at you. So you really have to really need to think about this. All Americans, before you get on the plane and before you leave USA, check it out first. Buy insurance there and make sure it's international. I was watching Philly the other day. He has worldwide coverage with his particular company, so he's going to try to use it here, I think. But here's something that you don't know. I bet you a dollar bill that sometimes even the world coverage may not only cover up to certain conditions. Pre-existing conditions or conditions that are limited because they don't have the technology here or the wherewithal to understand how to operate on somebody. Sure, they got a great, fantastic, wonderful surgery center up there in Manila, but the problem is they don't have all the equipment and they don't have the stature. I mean, I've been to that hospital. I've been there. So you have to really, and I've been there with American. So you have to really think about this. I mean, he was fighting. Well, we don't have that, sir. What do you mean you don't have it? I'm dying here. As you know, Mike went through it. He got through fine. Mike, my Philippine journey, and he got through fine. And he was telling me that we're for all there. And he was a good close friend of mine. And he would tell me, I said, how you feeling? I said, I'm okay today. Tomorrow, I don't know. But that's the thing. I told him to go back to the States. He didn't want to go back. But maybe now, a lot of people start listening to me. Think before you come here. Even though you may be 65, 68, 70 years old, go down to the hospital, go and ask them, if I get sick today, what do you have here? Is there a doctor here? A lot of hospitals here are not manned. They don't have doctors. They have to call one in from another hospital. So you have to really make sure there's a doctor. Yeah, there's a doctor. Can they perform surgery? If I have a heart attack? No. If I have an appendix? No. Can they take care of my kidney? Well, his expert is kidney. Okay, well, all right. I'm taken care of then if I have a kidney problem. But what about my heart? Well, you'll have to go to Valencia for that, or you'll have to go over here for that. So I know I'm rambling on, but I want to get a point across here because this is so important that people don't really realize. The care itself here is limited up to a certain extent. Can you get great coverage? I'm sure you can. But really discerned me and got me upset is, and there was another guy before COVID flew back because he had a problem and he thought he was really sick. I can't say his name. He didn't give me approval. And come to find out, it was a misdiagnosis. So right now, I know of 7 or 8 misdiagnoses, and all said they were not going to make it by 90 days from now. And as far as I know, all of them are still alive today in the United States, and they were all misdiagnosed, and everything is fine, and all of them don't have cancer. I don't know if that's the first thing they say, and you're going to die. You only have 90 days. That's what they told the guy with a hernia. You got 90 days. The guy goes in and examines him. He says, hold on a minute. Hold on. They told you had cancer? Yes. He said, I'm dying. So hold on. You got a hernia. Hold on. Let me do a couple more tests. So they did some tests. They did a scan. They scanned him. They did the whole 9 yards. He said, you're fine. They even did a colonoscopy on it. I can't even say the word. And they did that, and he says, "Fine, you're fine. You're okay." You know, after a few days, they had him take the medicine and all that stuff, and he's fine. So God bless him. And he says, "I'm staying here," because but I know some guys, and I have friends that live up in Baguio. I have friends that live in fact, one was on a stream yesterday, lives in Baguio, so they have great hospitals there. And I have friends in Manila, and I have friends that live in all over the place, Luzon, Bohol, Naga, all over, Iloilo. And they're all telling me, even there, sometimes the concern is still in the back of their mind that if I get really sick, if something happens, I get really sick, am I going to make it to Guam? And can I use my Medicare, Medicaid there? And as far as I know, you can use it there in Guam. But getting to Guam is not bad. I think it's like $150 round trip now. But you can go to Guam, and the care would be fantastic there. But most are going back to their local countries, to their existing doctors that they have. Now remember, if you're outside the country over 1 year, most hospitals, most doctors that you had before, unless they're still and you're on a first call basis with them, are now what they're doing is you have to start as a new patient. So you got to go through all the criteria again. And I would have to do the same thing, even though my doctor is alive and he is well. He said, you're classified as new patients with me because you've been gone out of the country for 7 years. He said, if I don't see contact with you for 1 year, he said, you're out of luck. And I said, really? He goes, yep, sorry. Even though I know you got to come back in and get exams, you got to go through all that stuff. He said, even though you're a Medicare or will be, I'm not on anything. I mean, I don't have Medicare, Medicaid here. I'm going to have to get it. I have insurance, but I don't have that. You know, so you have to really look at that because insurance is very important. If you don't have the insurance, go get the card. If you don't have the money, you spend $100 on the card. You get a card for $100. Worst case, get one for $200. It's good for the year. Just renew it. Just buy another one next year. So there are Caritas. There's Pacific Prime, Blue Cross and Blue Shield. There's many companies here, but they're out of sight. But here's the thing. Even Blue Cross and Blue Shield lady told me, what hospital survived me? I told her, she says, sir, I don't want to, bad news. We don't support those hospitals. Is your hospital supported by the insurance that you have? Sorry, we don't support those hospitals. You got to go back. You got to come back to the States or Guam. Okay, I did not know that. So that's the reason I dropped my insurance. So I had to. So I have Philly Health. I'm grandfathered in on the old policy back 10 years ago, 8 years ago, that it grandfathers me in like Filipino, even though I'm considered into the Filipino family. So I would pay Filipino, even though it's gone up in price. It's still a reduction, and I could still say, you know, a few $100s, and no matter what care I would need. And it has paid for everything. It's paid for everything I've ever had to have done. I never had to worry about it. Never had to pay any money out of my pocket for anything. Anything. It didn't matter what it was. Even when I had surgery, nothing. Not one peso. So but that's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. When you're outside the United States, even the United States is not guaranteed, right? But at least you have availability. No matter what, you can go to a clinic. Now, if you're outside the country and this video is getting on to 20 minutes, and ain't no way in the world anybody's going to watch this thing for 20 minutes, but I'm going to put it on there anyway. If you're outside the country and you need some kind of care, and you fly back to the States and your doctor's not able to see you because you're a new patient, the quickest way to get in is go to a clinic, a flu clinic, a clinic. There's always clinics everywhere. There's care clinics. So you go in there and say, listen, I've got a problem. This is what I want to do. There are always 2 to 3 doctors on staff there. The doctor will recommend, if he cannot help you, he says, I'm going to recommend you a doctor. That is like gold. Okay, what doctor? Oh, he's down over here. I recommend him. I'll call him. I'll have my nurse call him, let him know that you're going to be coming. Eliminates new patient junk. So just go to a clinic, pay the $20. It's inexpensive. $100. Go in there and see whatever you need to do. You know, because my guys that get hurt on a job, they cut your hand, they fall, hurt their head. You go to the clinic and it costs me, $60, $80. Experience, believe me. You know, I had many guys hurt just because of owning a business. You know, it just happens. Life happens. So go there and get that, and then that way that'll save you a lot of money in the long run. And then you will get a doctor, and the doctor will be able to help you go see him, and you better go see him today. And she's calling him now. So it's like that. I want to thank everybody for watching my videos. I just had to talk about it. It's 22 minutes. Can't believe I'm talking 22 minutes. God bless.